The first time I realized life can twist in ways you never imagine was on a night when the snow wouldn't stop falling. Outside, the world was buried under white silence, but inside my heart, something far louder was stirring. I didn't know then that one simple yes would change the way I saw myself, my family, and the choices I'd made. Looking back, I wonder if I had said no that night, would everything still feel the same? My name is Clara Evans, and I'm 42 years old. I live in a quiet New England town where winters feel endless and the nights colder than the days. My husband, David, is a good man, but he is absent more often than not, lost in late-night work deals or bowling tournaments that seem more important than family dinners. Our marriage had settled into a rhythm of distance. We didn't fight. We didn't even argue. But sometimes silence can be more painful than words. That's when my son, Ethan, filled the emptiness. At 19, Ethan wasn't just a boy. He was an artist in every sense of the word, passionate, restless, his hands always smudged with paint, his hazel eyes burning with ideas I couldn't always understand but admired deeply. His attic studio was his kingdom, canvases stacked against every wall, colors spilling onto the floor, the air always rich with the smell of turpentine. One January morning, he came down the stairs holding a canvas. His hair was a mess, and he had a mug of tea in his hand. "Morning, Mom," he said, his voice warm. He set the painting down, and when he turned it toward me, I forgot how to breathe. It wasn't just a painting. It was alive. A figure bathed in light, vulnerable yet strong, a mix of fragility and power that seemed to pulse off the canvas. I felt tears sting my eyes. "Ethan," I whispered. "This is extraordinary." He ducked his head, cheeks flushed, and murmured, "Couldn't have done it without you." That was the first moment I noticed the shift. The way he looked at me wasn't just pride. It was something deeper, unspoken. Days passed, and I found myself drifting into his studio more often. Sometimes I'd just watch him work, the golden light pouring through the window framing him like a portrait itself. Sometimes he'd laugh at me snooping, but his laugh was never unkind. One afternoon he showed me a study of hands he was working on, every line delicate, expressive, full of emotion. "I'm thinking of making a whole series," he said. "Exploring emotions through the human form." I couldn't help but admire him, not just as my son, but as a man. His ambition, his passion, it was intoxicating. And somewhere between the smell of paint and the hush of winter nights, a tension began to grow. One evening, while David was out, Ethan brought me a small box. Inside was a satin robe the color of flame. "I want to paint you," he said softly. His voice wasn't demanding. It was hopeful. Something personal. Something real. My heart raced. No one had looked at me like that in years. No one had asked to see me, not the wife, not the mother, but me. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Upstairs, I slipped into the robe. In the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked alive. When I stepped into the living room, Ethan had arranged the space like a studio. A chair draped in blankets, candles glowing, his easel waiting. His eyes met mine and held, steady and unguarded. "You look beautiful," he said simply. I sat down, trying to still my racing pulse. He painted with focus, his brush gliding with confidence. But his words, his glances, carried weight. "You've always been my favorite subject, Mom. Not just for art. For everything." His voice cracked something open in me I didn't know was still there. When he finally revealed the finished painting, my breath caught. He hadn't just painted me in satin. He had painted the woman I used to be, the one I thought had disappeared long ago, strong, graceful, radiant. I had to look away to hide the tears in my eyes. From that night on, something shifted between us. A look would linger too long, a compliment would land too close to my heart. Ethan's presence filled the spaces David left empty. I told myself it was just art, just admiration. But deep down, I knew it was more. One snowy evening, he left another gift for me in the studio, something daring, bold, a challenge wrapped in fabric. His smile was mischievous but his tone serious. "You inspire me, Mom. I want to paint you fearless." The truth was, he had already done what David hadn't managed in years. He made me feel seen. He reminded me that beneath the title of mother and wife, I was still a woman capable of being wanted, admired, even loved. The snow outside kept falling, silent and endless. Inside, the warmth of that forbidden connection grew louder with every glance, every word, every unspoken question lingering between us. And as I sat there, his brush capturing me on canvas again and again, I realized the truth. Life doesn't always break where you expect it to. Sometimes, it breaks open in the places you least imagine. But the question that haunted me then, and still does, is this: what happens when a bond meant to protect becomes the very thing that tempts you most?